It's 1812 and Napoleon has one thing on his mind: revenge. The Russians have broken a treaty with France and Napoleon is looking to retaliate with 600,000 soldiers. Considering that Napoleon has had past military success against the stronger Austrians and Prussians, he was not worried about his new foe. As long as he was able to easily travel and feed his soldiers in enemy territory, Napoleon would once again find military success. However, it was discovered that the Russian road network was poor and their agriculture base almost non-existent, causing his soldiers to move slowly and suffer from starvation. And on top of all this, the weather was brutal. The winters were too cold and the warm spells produced too much mud, making a difficult trek even more so. In the end, this promising campaign turned into a disaster, and Napoleon had to retreat from Russia a defeated man. His large glorious army was now only 100,000 strong, and the rest perished due to starvation, exhaustion, and/or disease. Had Napoleon not treated the Russians like his past enemies, he would have had a better chance. But instead, he had fallen prey to his misconceptions. And when people first embark on their NoFap journey, they too also fall prey to their misconceptions, giving them a hard time to build any meaningful NoFap streak. So what are these misconceptions that cause so many to fail in NoFap? Well, they are sexuality, philosophy, and timeline. In this video, we're gonna cover all three topics so that when you do commit to NoFap, it's going to be a successful one. So first on the dock is sexuality. One of the things that young men don't get to learn about is their sexuality. And I don't mean sexual intercourse, but sexuality. You see, sexuality is how you express your sexual energy in your day-to-day life. Instead of sexuality being caged in by sexual intercourse or masturbation, it is instead supposed to give your life energy for whatever you are pursuing. For example, art is an expression of sexual energy. Heck, even personal projects, even a great conversation is an expression of sexual energy. However, whenever someone jerks off too much, they are draining that sexual energy from their life. So instead of coming off as vibrant, they come off as dull, meek, and one-dimensional. You have to realize this: you will rarely reach your full potential if you divorce your sexuality from your being. You have to let your sexual energy build up and come out through your personality, goals, social life, and more. Everything you do should have your sexual energy behind it. A lot of NoFap zealots think that NoFap is all about not masturbating, but this is wrong. NoFap is all about redirecting your sexual energy from fapping into living a much more engaging life. So when you start on NoFap, just remember to keep that in mind. But enough about sexuality. Let's talk about the philosophy of NoFap. Listen, I'm no Aristotle, but there is some philosophy when it comes to NoFap. It's nothing metaphysical or abstract. In fact, it's quite simple. You see, the philosophy that underlies NoFap is tension. In life, you are usually going to engage with some form of tension, whether it be in dating, career, conflicts, etc. Yet, the reason people struggle with tension in general is because they have a hard time dealing with any sexual tension in their bodies. And when it comes to NoFap, it's a crash course on dealing with sexual tension. But funny enough, the way you deal with tension with NoFap will naturally translate to how you deal with tension in general. It's as if the sexual tension you learn to deal with is similar to the tension you feel when interacting with the world. And instead of caving into the tension, you're able to navigate it and come out of it successfully. Yet, when people start NoFap, they don't realize that this is an opportunity to change their relationship with tension. As a result, they think it's okay to fap and quit NoFap, not fully understanding that they are failing at the key skill of dealing with tension. And this skill will come to be useful in your dating life, career, and any area that involves conflict. So the next time you feel like quitting NoFap, remember that it comes at a high cost. Before someone starts NoFap, they get all excited about the superpowers and dive right into it. However, they seriously underestimate the NoFap journey, which causes them to cave in on those sudden urges early on. So it's best to be mindful of the timeline of recovery. And to do this, you can check out this Reddit post on the timeline of NoFap in the first comment below. However, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version in this video. Now, keep in mind that everyone's timeline of recovery is different, but it's just nice to have a sense of what lies ahead in your NoFap journey. So that's a rough timeline of the NoFap journey, and being aware of it will help you mentally prepare for the difficult parts of the journey. That being said, some of you are probably thinking this right now. Isn't this all overkill for NoFap? Why would we need to know all of this? I get it. Why learn about sexuality, philosophy, and timeline, right? Well, just hear me out. After so many years of divorcing our sexuality from our lives, it can be very easy to misunderstand NoFap. People think NoFap is just about not masturbating. So they focus on repressing their sexual urges, looking down on women, or anyone that will elicit urges. And this becomes too much to handle, so they tend to quit in the long run. Yet, if you looked at our ancestors who had to explore, fight, farm, or whatever they did ages ago to survive, they rarely masturbated, and one of the reasons for that was that they used their sexual energy to sustain their lives and pursuits. Our ancestors were not as conflict averse as the modern man because they easily could deal with the sexual tension in their bodies, which naturally showed them how to deal with tension with rivals, threats, and difficulties. For most of mankind, sexuality was naturally a part of the person. But when a lot of dudes in the modern age take part in NoFap, they fall for the same mistake of compartmentalizing their sexuality, aka thinking it's only for sex. And that's a very easy mistake to make. So you have to be aware of NoFap holistically before you embark on it. And with these 3 misconceptions cleared up, you'll have a better chance at committing to NoFap for life. Now, it's time for an example. For a significant part of my young adulthood, I was a conflict-averse sexual dud. I fapped once a day for the most part for almost 10 years. However, I decided to go on NoFap after finding that subreddit, before it went downhill, and reading about the superpowers. Anyways, I committed to NoFap and dealt with all the difficulties. But other than that, I was living my normal lifestyle where I would go to work, work out, meet up with friends, and ask girls out on dates. Although I felt better from NoFap, everyone else around me started to see me differently. Female co-workers were telling me how good I looked. A buddy from university that I haven't seen in ages straight up called me sensual, and he's straight. Without even knowing, I reattached my sexuality with my being, where people started seeing me as a sexual being. And on top of all that, I was no longer conflict averse. In fact, I relished taking part in any form of conflict. I was just a different person. No, wait. I was finally scratching the surface of my true potential. I was lucky that I was able to practice NoFap properly, where I was able to express my sexual energy. But that being said, it's easy to miss that when you're reading up on NoFap for the first time. Another thing that people miss when reading up on NoFap is not giving themselves opportunities to express their sexuality. A lot of guys make the mistake of repressing instead of expressing their sexual energy. They try to fight something that is very natural to their body. So when people engage with NoFap, they still follow their same poor lifestyle where they consume social media, only go to home or work, and binge Netflix. This is a recipe for NoFap failure, since your sexual energy has no appropriate outlet. Think of your sexual energy as a river. If it gets dammed up by you being stagnant and staying at home all the time, the sexual energy is going to overflow into uncontrollable urges and cause chaos. However, when you are active in various ways like physically, socially, etc., the river of sexual energy will flow smoothly with the vigor and vitality of nature. On the other side, when you jerk off too much, you are draining the sexual energy from the river, leading it to dry out and die. I can't stress this enough. Your sexual energy is there to get you through life. If you drain it, you're hurting yourself. If you let it get dammed up, you're hurting yourself. You have to allow your sexual energy to flow through you by being engaged with life. So make sure to give yourself ample opportunities to express your sexual energy. This can be done through sports, social hobbies, personal projects, working out, etc. Anything that will get you more engaged with life. Alright, let's summarize this video. For NoFap, you have to be aware of the misconceptions of sexuality, the philosophy of NoFap, and the timeline of recovery. For sexuality, ensure you are expressing your sexual energy through your day-to-day life. For the philosophy of NoFap, understand that you are learning about how to deal with tension in life. For the timeline, review it to know what you have ahead of yourself. A simple mistake people make with NoFap is not giving themselves opportunities to express their sexual energy. Now, that was quite a bit that we covered in this video. But that being said, you have to understand that it's so easy for your NoFap journey to go off the rails, so it's best to understand these misconceptions before you embark on your NoFap journey. Because by being properly prepared, you are setting yourself up for success. Unlike Napoleon with his Russian campaign. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you again for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my email for a weekly newsletter. And guys, remember, you're not just any type of nerd. You're a charismatic nerd.